All right, so we're recording this session. You can enable your microphones. So when you're ready to talk, just enable your microphones and then go ahead and share your desktop. So click share screen, choose the screen that you want to share. I have enabled multiple people to share, so multiple people can share their actual screen. And when you're bringing up your screen, essentially just talk about the task, and then I'll go through and I'll grade the task accordingly.
Professor, do you want us to share our video as well?
Yes, yeah, just share your screen and audio. Yes, share both.
But the front-facing camera as well?
I'm sorry, about what now?
Do you want us to share the front-facing camera so that you can see us speaking? Or just...
Oh, no, I don't need to see you.
Okay.
Yeah, just share your screen. That's all that's needed to be shared.
And should we all share our screens right now?
No, just share whenever you're going through your task, whoever it is, then just share your screen. That's it.
Okay.
All right, is someone sharing their screen? Because the screen is not being shared, nor can I hear anybody go through any of the tasks.
So
I'm not
which
sharing.
of us do you want to start?
Who wants to start first?
I'd be okay with starting. So
Okay.
This is Sam here.
Hey, Sam.
So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen right now. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Hello?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay.
So I went ahead and covered installing antivirus, hashing files, steganography, using Tor for the deep web, and a firewall setup. So whichever one of those you want me to display, just let me know.
Oh, either one. Just go through it and yeah, just start from whatever you have first and to the last.
Okay. So I installed, in terms of antivirus, there's not too many viruses that actually target Ubuntu or Linux systems, because that's just not the way that Unix works. So when you're looking for vulnerabilities, you want to look for a rootkit instead, which attacks the. However, if you did want to if you wanted to look for Windows viruses on your Unix computer, then you could use an antivirus software like Clam. And in this install script, which I've already run, install both the command line tool, which is called ClamAV, as well as the Python TK wrapper, which creates a Python graphical user interface. So to run that, I can just run the clamtk command. And to scan a file, I'm going to go ahead and scan the, I created a revocation file for hashing my emails. So this would render my public and private key completely useless in the event that somebody got my private key. So I'm going to see if that has a virus in it. And it takes a minute or so to scan, so we have to just let it sit for a minute. and it looks like it's safe. So it scanned the entire file, didn't find any threats. Now, if you wanted to, you could scan an entire directory. So if you wanted to scan your entire system, you could go to the file system here and hit OK. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to stay here for 15 hours. Let's move on to hashing. I created a simple setup with a client and a server. So if I go to the server, there are a couple of files here. There's the target file, which I'd like to download. And I want to make sure that I actually have this file once I've downloaded it, that it hasn't been compromised or anything. So this is another file that might be on the server that's been changed just a little bit, could be malicious, we don't know. So I've created a download script, and all it does is just copy the file over into the client folder. So this really is just an example. So if I run download, then go into the client, then I have download this. Now before I open it, I want to make sure that it's the exact same thing as the file that's on the server. I'm going to run the SHA-256 sum on the download this file, and that returns this long hexadecimal sum, which if it's the same as the one on the client side, then we know that it's the same file. Is everybody getting this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Now, looking at these two, you might think, well, it's going to be impossible to tell if these are the same. We could put this into a little Python script just to see if the string is the exact same. There's some built-in functionality to all of these hashing algorithms that lets you check two different files. But just to display the power of hashing a file, what's really cool about it is that if I go back to the server, and I'm going to look at the slightly altered file. All I did was, so the original file looks like this. It says, to verify the contents of this file, use the SHA-256 sum. But the slightly altered one just has one extra character at the end. So and you can see that that character is just the capital letter A. If I run the SHA-256 sum on the original file, this is what it looks like. And you can see it looks pretty similar to the one that's on the client side as well. And that's because it's the same and we just copied it over. But if somebody were to alter it, then we could run the sum on the slightly altered file. And you can see just from the very beginning, it's completely different. So we know that this is a compromised file and that we don't want to open it because who knows, it might contain some malicious code. And then I think along with this task, you wanted to do email encryption as well, right, Professor?
Well, not email encryption, but just to essentially just relate this hashing to the Linux Mint vulnerability. Okay, so I think a couple of years ago, maybe there was a compromise. There was a vulnerability on the Linux Mint website where somebody hacked through WordPress into the site, and they uploaded a backdoored version of Linux Mint, which had a botnet installed. So the way that this happened is people were downloading it thinking that it was the official Linux Mint, and it wasn't. And a lot of people didn't know that they could check if it was the same ISO as the one that Linux Mint wants you to have. So
if there were an official sum out there that they could compare it to, then they could download the file, and then the sum is present on the website, and run the MD5 algorithm on the downloaded ISO and compare that sum to the one that's on the website.
All right, you're good. Just continue with your next task.
Okay. So steganography is really interesting. So I have a secret, and I also have a picture of a flower. So if I go and look at that picture of the flower, it's just a pretty picture of a flower. Now I want to delete the secret. I don't want anybody to know that it's here, but I want to be able to hide it in the contents of the flower code. So I've created a couple of scripts. One of them is a hiding script, and it runs steghide and embeds the first parameter into the second parameter. So the first one should be the source file which contains the secrets, and the second one should be the image that we want to embed those secrets in. So I'm going to run this with the secret and the flower. And I need to create a passphrase that when I want to decrypt the flower image and get the secret out of it, I need to enter this passphrase to get that file again. So I'm gonna make that passphrase just secret and type it again, secret. And now it's in there. So if I look, there's nothing that's changed here, but I can actually remove the secret file. And you can see back here that it's disappeared from my file manager as well. And say I want to get that secret text back again, it's actually hidden in the flower image. So I created a script called extract. It's really simple. It runs the steghide extract function with the first parameter being the input file. So I'm going to run extract and then the flower. And you can see right now there's nothing else here besides these two scripts and the flower. And I'm going to enter that passphrase that I created before, which was secret. And now if I look again, the secret file is there. So let's see what it contains. And it contains the very secret text that I created in the first place. So it's nice because it's identical. And if we look back at the flower image, that secret is hidden in there, but you would have no way of telling from this image that there's some secret text hidden in it. It's really useful.
Now, here's a quick question. If you look at the file size before and after, is there a way to tell doing that?
That's a good question. And I'm not sure if this particular algorithm, if it replaces some of the data that's already there inconspicuously with the secret data, or if it appends it to the file. So if you had the original file and you wanted to tell if somebody had hidden something in it, you could look at its properties. And right now, and I believe you can hide multiple documents inside the same image. I'm not sure if it would corrupt the original hidden file, but the size is here. So why don't I create another source so we can see that 648.8 kilobytes. I'm going to go back here and create another secret. And I'm going to run the hide script again with the second secret into the flower. And I'm going to make my passphrase something really simple, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ultimately, it should be something that would be harder to crack. Now let's take a look at the flower's properties again. Before it was 648.8 kilobytes. Now it's 648.9. So it's a really tiny difference, but you can tell that there was some additional data that was added to it. So that would be one way of detecting that something had been altered and that there's additional information there.
All right, let's continue to your next one.
Okay. We did steganography hashing and we installed the antivirus. Now let's see what we can find on the deep web. I went ahead and downloaded this tarball from the official Tor website, and I extracted that using the tar command and the xzf modifiers, which allow you to unpack it and extract it. So it created a resultant folder that looks a lot like the original file. If I enter that, there's another folder in here. I'm gonna go in there and it creates a desktop command. Desktop commands are really cool because they're pretty localized. A lot of the important information about running the application is included in that desktop command. So if I run it right from here, it's going to start up an altered version of Mozilla Firefox, which is connected through the onion router. And the onion router involves sending all of the information and all of the packets that you're working this across different exit nodes all over the world, so that the original location is a little murky. You have a hard time detecting that kind of identifying information. Now, what can you find on the dark web? Well, you can use it for normal things. There are your traditional, mail services, image hosts, and that's ultimately what I think it should be. I think that most people should use it for that. There are some more nefarious things that you can do on the dark web, but it comes with a price, and in most cases, there's nothing you can do to be completely inconspicuous. And if the police, the FBI, the NSA, if they want to find you, they'll probably find you. So with that in mind, I have a URL here, and it's a URL to the latest version of the Hidden Wiki. And the Hidden Wiki is a dark website that contains references to different onion links. I'm gonna let it load. It's always gonna take a little more time to load a site that ends in .onion, considering that it's being routed all across the world. And it's also possible that this particular server has gone down since I retrieved the link. That's another thing, is that ClearNet, so the internet that we're used to, ClearNet references to darknet resources can change by the minute. So here we are. There's a number of different services that we can work with, and it's essentially a little wiki. There's social networks, email and messaging. You can create a blog. There's tips on anonymity and security, and it's a good place to start. There's also tons of things that I probably wouldn't want to do here. However, it could be a good starting point for somebody who's doing offensive security. nothing that you want to do illegally, but there are lots of different useful resources here.
All right, you are good. You can go ahead and jump to your next task.
Okay, so I'm going to close the browser, exit out of this URL. Let's see, back to my final folder. And the last thing is the firewall. My favorite firewall to work with is UFW. It stands for Uncomplicated Firewall, and it really is that. It's uncomplicated. You install it, set a couple of options, and it just kind of does its thing. So what I want to do is I want to set up a system where this particular computer can only request resources from the outside and doesn't allow any incoming requests. So if anybody's trying to send something to the computer via an open port, it's going to block that. So to do that, I have an install script. And it's already installed, and it does come pre-installed on a lot of operating systems. So I want to check my defaults really quickly. There's a configuration file that exists at etc default UFW. So this is a good way to see what different variables you have enabled. I've already run my protection script, so it's really just going to do, it's going to set the input policy to drop and the output policy to accept. And the way to do that is to run the UFW default command, where you can deny or allow incoming and outgoing requests. This is redundant because I've already done it. But now all of those rules should be updated, and the computer's network should be secure. Now, one thing to make sure when you first install UFW is that it's enabled, and you want to make sure that it enables on startup, because it's just like any other application. You need to run it in order for it to make any changes to the system. So enabling it is pretty simple. It's just a super user command. You run UFW with the enable command as a parameter. And now it's active and enabled on system startup. And I'm not sure, I don't think I created a script for this, but say I wanted to see, a user-friendly kind of description of the status of the firewall. I can run UFW status, and I think it might have to be run as root, which is really useful. And right now it just says active, which is a good thing. And I think that's just about it.
All right, so let's go ahead and swap to the next person.
Yeah, I can go next. So I'll be doing Wireshark and Gephi. So yeah. I'll start with Wireshark. So to download, type in sudo app get install Wireshark and press yes, follow this, and Yeah, let's wait for it to download. Yep. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was muted. Okay, fire up Wireshark. Oops. Heavy Wireshark. There you go. We got it. To check what's happening, there's usually like your locals and stuff like that is there, but you just select what's going on. Okay, so you just select one of the IPs and you just press the start or the wire fin and it will start tracking. None? There's none. Okay. So apparently there's currently nothing going on. Wait, hold up. Nope. Okay. Okay, not tracking. Okay. So apparently there's currently nothing happening here. But usually there would be some like IPs around here that you could track. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Wireshark. And usually inside the tracking, you should see a time of where packets are opening and going, the protocols, and the IPs is where it's going to. Okay, and then for Gephi, I had this prepped up. So to download Gephi, you just Gephi. You just download from the website, and then to open it, oops. You just do this. It'll fire it up. And it's basically a tool to analyze a set of data points. Had this already going. I guess I could just start a new one. And to see the data points, I don't know why this doesn't have it on default. You just press graph, and it should show like a diagram of, or like not diagram, but like a line point sort of graph that lists out all the data and where it's connected to. And then on the side, you could display what type of graph that you want and all these cool like functions that you could do to find, say, average degree. You could run that, and then it should show like a graph. Oh, nice. Okay, you won't be able to see it visually on the GUI that it has, but this GUI will show out like the list of small data points. I'm not sure if you can see it, and yeah, it has a cool chart to analyze data. Yeah, that's for Gephi. And then for Crypt, was it USB Crypt? I think it's called. What was it called?
Called Cryptsetup.
Cryptsetup. yeah, Cryptsetup. So to download Cryptsetup, yes. I'd see if I could pull the speed drive. Does this work? I think this will work. Oh, that's not it. So for Cryptsetup, I'll just use this entire thing since I'm almost done, I guess. So for cryptsetup, it's usually as it sounds. It just encrypts a USB drive or like a disk. So for that, I'll just use. Oops, you didn't see that. What? Okay, here we go. Easy. Nice. You just look at the device, and then this fdisk lists all the devices that is on your system, like the pathing for it. It shows the like all the storage amount. So we just use this. And then what is it called? Pathing dev sta1. Wait. What was that command? Okay, hold up. Set up. Trying to remember it. Hold up. There's that one command set up. Oh, found it. Yeah, and then you just type in the pathing and what is it? SDA1. What? Did I type that wrong? I think I typed that wrong. Oh, it's lower L.
Hey, you might not need the F flag.
Yeah, but not. I just need to verbose it, I guess. Yeah. Warning, this will override data. Yeah, sure. That's okay. So used to work on the on my other computer. This shouldn't happen. Wrong device. Oh, I think I mistyped it. Is that 1 or L?
So if I can chime in here, it's going to be difficult to encrypt the disk that the computer is running on.
Oh yeah, you're probably right. I should probably use a USB for this.
Right.
Yes, you should use a USB for
I
this.
should definitely use a USB for this, but how do I detect? Okay, so I do have a USB, but I think I need to go to the VM settings. I'll skip this part. I'll go back to this, but I'll do the other part, which is the other thing I had to do was I believe it was Nmap. Nmap, similar to Wireshark, is also used to track IPs as well. I believe it is. Network mapping.
Yeah. And you can, with the Nmap scan, point it towards the website for Nmap that you can. That's, yeah, there it is.
Oh, What?
Scanme. Yeah, there it is,
Yeah,
right there. Scanme.nmap.org.
Hey. And bam, you get all these cool shenanigans that you can check, where like the ports open, the IPs. Yeah, that's really is a lot more simpler than Wireshark. I wonder if Wireshark is still working right now. Probably not. Yeah. So that's it for Nmap. Yeah, and then the scenario 3, Tripwire. I don't have a Tripwire.
Make sure that that's lowercase. I think you have it installed.
What is it low? So is it? Okay. Yeah, I don't have Tripwire. Man, I'm tripping. Okay. Just go with default. This is for password. You typically would, but like, I'm trying to go through this as quick as I can. Yeah, nice. Tripwire is installed and configured. Pretty simple. See, okay. The only thing that is left is Gephi. Wait, not Gephi. What was that was left? What was this? Yeah. I think I need to put this on hold for a second. So if anyone else want to do their part, go ahead. You can skip this part. I'll come back when I'm ready.
I could do my part right now. This is Matt talking, and apologize for my internet had a hiccup a little bit ago at the worst time in the middle of this, but everything should be okay now. Can everyone see it okay?
I can really see it.
Oh, I need to stop sharing. Okay, there we go.
All right, we can see it now.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to be talking about Vim. I'll be talking about the tcptrack command. I'm going to be showing the scripts that I wrote to install programs and remove them, and another script I'll talk about displaying the system settings. And I'll also be talking about scenario 1, which utilizes flaw finder. So I'll just start off with Vim. It's basically a text editor. Nothing really too flashy about it. It's a little bit more in-depth than Nano. I just have a script here that I had wrote beforehand on Vim. It just echoes hello world. And we could see what it does. When I run it, it just says hello world. Pretty simple. I don't think there's really anything else much to talk about that. So moving on to tcptrack. It's basically a command that shows TCP information. It shows activity on your network interface. So for this particular system, this is my interface. Oh, I gotta. Okay, so right now there's nothing coming up because I don't have anything running on the system that's using network. So once I pull up Firefox, there's going to be some activity here. If I could pull the terminal up, here we go. So it's just showing how it's reaching out to servers, showing speeds, all sorts of useful information. And I can, yeah. Okay. So moving on, I'll show Flaw Finder. So it's a program that finds flaws in C++ files. So I have one here.
Now remember, not just C++, but it's also C.
It's also, yeah. So I'm going to run it on, I believe this was the Python IDE I had installed off of SourceForge. And so it just runs over all of the lines, and then it gives a nice analysis here. And it basically analyzes security risks with the code. So it has 35 hits here over 42,000 lines analyzed total in approximately 3 seconds. And the different levels of hits correlate to how important they are. So there were 35 hits of level 2 or more, 19 of 3 or more, 7 of 4 or more, and 3 of 5 or more.
Real quick interjection. For some odd reason, your voice is coming in very low. So please move close to the microphone.
Okay. Let me see, I can try to change that. Is that better at all?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay. And so it just basically says the minimum risk level with the file, and not every hit is necessarily a security vulnerability. So really, it's just kind of giving you a brief overview. This is nothing you should take 100% as law. You always should just go back and review your own code and understand completely what's going on with the code. So moving on to the scripts that are written to install programs, remove them, and to show status. So I'll show the status script first. I think it's now settings. There we go. Okay. So this is going to show the firewall status. It's going to show internet configuration. It's going to show free space on the disk. So when I run it here we go. So we'll scroll back up to the top. And it's just going to show how much space is used here. So 56% of what I'm assuming this to be is the user disk, like the hard drive that I have right now. It's 56% full. And then here's a bunch of memory total throughout the system that's used and free and shared. Scrolling down, here's the internet configurations. And then finally, the firewall command just shows that it's active. That's not a whole lot to say, but it's pretty important knowing that your firewall is active. So I would be pleased to see that come up. So moving on to the install and remove programs scripts, it's pretty simple. It's just a series of 12 commands that install a variety of programs onto the computer. With the last one going a bit above and beyond and downloading the Tor browser, using the tarball and rolling it out onto your system. So we can go ahead and run that. And I already have a variety of these programs on my system. But if you're doing it for the first time, I have it set up not so that every single time you install something, it's going to ask you if you want to install it, yes or no. And you'll see that when I run the remove programs script. Okay, so for some reason it's going to take 20 minutes to install Tor, so we're not going to sit here and watch that. So moving on to the remove script. There's the sudo apt-get purge remove, and again it's 14 programs that are used here. I had found that I had tried using it to remove some individual commands, such as top, I think was one of my problems I had with this part. And for some reason it said it can't locate it, but I did a little bit of research, and I believe the reason for that is because it's part of like a set of network tools that you would have to remove instead of removing one individual command. So anyway, running the remove script, it's just going to ask if I want to remove all of these things. And I can just keep hitting yes for everything, and it's basically going to remove all of it. So I won't sit through that. So it's basically all I really wanted to talk about. I don't know if Vince is ready to go, or I can have some.
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay.
Antivirus. Okay.
All right, I think the only thing I need to see now is just the Tripwire fully. That's all.
Oh, the Tripwire?
Mm-hmm.
I already did that. Wait, did I? Oh, no, wait. No, hold on. Let me do the crypt setup first. Okay, got it working. Here you go. There's this is right here. This disk. You just use that. And this. Okay. Okay, let's just do Tripwire. Oops.
Vince, did you want to try running that as root?
I might. Hold up. Oh, wait, hold up. That's not it. Oh, yeah, root works. There you go. Thanks, Sam.
So what are the implications there regarding that flash drive?
No, you should. If you try to access it, I don't think it allows you to do so. because of the encryption, you need to enter a passphrase. That's why I asked to enter passphrase and then verify it, because that passphrase was needed to enter that drive. There. Okay, there we go. See? So you enter passphrase, then you're able to go into it. That's pretty much it. Wait. Hold up. What did that happen? Anyway, let's move on. Sure. Oh, done. For the Tripwire, I already configured it, though. What is it that you want, Professor? Professor? Hello?
Professor Dawson, you're muted. Vincent
Yes.
wants to know what he should do with Tripwire.
Just run a, just have it configured real quick just to get an example status of the system. That's all.
Oh, okay. Okay. What? Oops. Okay. Well, I don't think I could do that.
Okay, it's all right. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video.